She was 6 months pregnant. She just wanted to make her mom happy. So she agreed to one last favor, to attend a wedding with a man she no longer trusted. She never came back. Welcome back to the Criminal Minds. This is a heartbreaking story of Alisha Bromfield and how a wedding turned into a murder scene that sparked a change in the law. Alisha Bromfield didn't want to go. She was 21 years old, 7 months pregnant, tired, excited, focused on her future. She had dreams, big ones. She was working full-time while pursuing a degree in forensic psychology, and her baby girl was due in just a couple of months. But when Brian Cooper, her mother's ex-boyfriend, asked her to be his +1 to a wedding, she said yes. Not because she wanted to, but because she felt pressured, because he wouldn't stop asking, because her mom, tried to keep the peace, had encouraged it. Alisha said yes because she thought it would just be a weekend trip, one quick getaway to Door County, Wisconsin, then back to her life. She had no way of knowing that she would never come home. They checked into the Stone Harbor Resort on August 18th, 2012. The wedding was for Brian's sister. It was supposed to be a joyful weekend. Photos from the evening showed guests smiling, drinking, and dancing. But Alisha, people noticed she looked uncomfortable, quiet, on edge. She stayed close to the room, barely ate, seemed distant. And later that night, things took a dark turn. According to Brian Cooper's confession, he started drinking heavily after the reception. He became emotional, told Alisha he wanted to be with her, told her he still loved her, told her that she had ruined his life by refusing him. Alisha told him, again, that they were never getting back together, that she had moved on. She was focused on her child and her future. That's when Brian snapped. In a rage, he strangled her to death using his bare hands. She was 7 months pregnant. Her baby girl, just weeks away from being born, died with her. The following morning, Brian Cooper woke up to silence. No crying, no breath, no heartbeat, just the body of a woman he claimed to love, and the life of her unborn child, taken by his own hands. He didn't run. He didn't hide. Instead, he got his car and drove. Hours later, he pulled into a convenience store in Illinois, sat in the parking lot, and dialed 911. I did something terrible, he said. I killed someone. She was pregnant. August 19th, 2012, early morning. A 911 dispatcher in Nauvoo, Illinois picked up a strange call. The voice on the other end was calm, but broken, slurred slightly. Still drunk. I did something bad, the man said. I killed my ex-girlfriend, and she was pregnant. That man was Brian Cooper. He had driven over 200 miles from the Wisconsin resort where he murdered Alisha Bromfield. Hours alone in the car, along with what he had done, along with the truth. And now, that truth was coming out. As the 911 call continued, Brian gave them everything. The name of the victim, Alisha Bromfield. Her age, 21. Her condition, 7 months pregnant. The location of the body, Stone Harbor Resort, room 231. The motive, she rejected him. Again, he told the operator he was ready to face the consequences. He didn't fight, didn't try to lie, didn't hold back. It was as if the guilt had finally cracked him open. Back in Sturgeon Bay, Wisconsin, officers raced the resort. They unlocked room 231. Inside, they found Alisha exactly where he said she would be. The room was still. The lights were off. No signs of struggle on the surface. But when they examined her body, the bruising around her neck told the story. So did the pregnancy. So did the silence. 2 lives were gone. Officers in Illinois took him into custody that same morning. He didn't resist. He didn't ask for a lawyer right away. He just kept repeating, I snapped. I lost it. She didn't deserve it. They charged him with 2 counts of first-degree intentional homicide. 1 for Alisha, 1 for her unborn daughter. The community was stunned. A young mother-to-be, strangled by her mom's ex-boyfriend, at a wedding. This wasn't just murder. This was betrayal. This was preventable. This was personal. Sherry Anisic, Alisha's mother, got the call. The same man she had once dated. The man she had tried to push away. The man who had begged to just take Alisha to the wedding. Had murdered her daughter and granddaughter. Sherry collapsed. She later told reporters, "I'll never forgive myself for letting her go. I thought it would be one weekend, one wedding. I didn't think. There were no words big enough for the guilt. No court ruling is strong enough for the pain. She was more than a headline, more than a victim, more than the woman found in room 231. Her name was Alisha Bromfield, and she was just 21 years old. She was 7 months pregnant, excited, nervous, full of dreams, ready to be a mom. She had already picked out the name for her baby girl. She called her Ava Lucille. Alisha worked full-time at Home Depot, running the garden center. She was putting herself through college. She studied forensic psychology with plans to work in law enforcement. Her professor said she was sharp, focused, but always kind. She helped classmates without being asked, stayed late to help close the store, smiled at customers even when she was exhausted. Alisha didn't complain. She just kept going. She wanted to build a life for her and her daughter on her terms. She had dated Brian Cooper before, briefly. He was older, controlling. It didn't last long. But what complicated things was that Brian had dated her mother, Sherry, for years before. They had all known each other for a long time. Alisha didn't trust him. She had told friends she didn't want to be around him anymore. But Brian kept reaching out. And when he invited her to the wedding, alone, she was reluctant. Sherry tried to stop it, but Brian insisted. And Alisha, always the peacekeeper, agreed to go just to get over with. Alisha had a crib ready. She had picked out little outfits. She had lined up time off from work. She was ready to give her baby everything. She had even taken maternity photos just days before the trip. In one of them, she's glowing, her hands resting on her belly, her smile wide, her future just within reach. She was weeks away from meeting her daughter. And Brian took that away. Not just from Alisha, not just from her baby, but from her entire family. A double loss no mother should ever have to bear. She was the glue, one friend said, the one who held people together. If two people were fighting, Alisha would be the one who brought them back. She never missed a birthday. She checked in when no one else did. She had a laugh that made you laugh, even if you didn't know it was funny. She wasn't loud. She wasn't reckless. She was steady, warm, safe, and the world is colder without her. Brian Cooper confessed. He told 911 what he did. He told investigators what happened. He gave them the motive. She didn't want to be with me. But when it was time to stand murder trial, he changed his strategy. He pleaded not guilty. Not guilty of killing Alisha. Not guilty of killing her unborn baby. Instead, his lawyers claimed mental illness, that he was drunk, depressed, and not in control of his actions. He wasn't denying the crime. He just didn't want to be held fully responsible for it. The courtroom was packed, family members with tissues clutched in their hands. On one side sat Sherry Anisic, Alisha's mother, the woman who had lost her daughter and her granddaughter in one night. On the other side sat Brian Cooper in a suit, silent, no tears, no emotion. Prosecutors showed the jury photos of Alisha, played the 911 call, showed the text where Alisha told friends she was nervous about the trip. They painted a clear picture. Brian was jealous. He was obsessed. And when he couldn't have control over her anymore, he took her life. His lawyers argued he suffered from a mental defect. He was not fully aware of what he was doing, that his emotions had overwhelmed him, and he snapped. They pointed to alcohol, to childhood trauma, to rejection, but the jury saw through it. This wasn't sudden. This was calculated. Brian waited until they were alone. He made advances. She said no. He lashed out. And then he left the scene, drove for hours, and called 911. That wasn't someone in a fog. That was someone trying to undo the guilt after it was too late. The jury didn't need long. Brian Cooper was found guilty on 2 counts of first-degree intentional homicide. One for Alisha Bromfield. One for her unborn daughter, Ava Lucille. He was sentenced to life in prison without parole. There would be no appeal, no second chance, no mercy. And for the first time in over a year, Sherry felt like someone had listened. Most people can't imagine what it's like to bury a child. Fewer still can imagine burying a grandchild at the same time, both victims of the same man. Sherry had to pick out a casket that could hold both. She had to plan one funeral for two people. She had to stand beside a headstone that bore both their names, Alisha Bromfield and baby Ava Lucille, born and died August 2012. It was more than a tragedy. It was trauma, the kind that doesn't heal. It just settles. According to the investigation, Alisha had been quiet that night. She stayed in the room after the wedding. Brian drank too much. He became aggressive. There were no screams reported, no calls to the front desk, no broken furniture, no obvious signs of a struggle, just a life taken with calculated rage, and a child never given a chance to take her first breath. That room became the last place Alisha ever existed. It wasn't a dark alley. It wasn't a bad part of town. It was a high-end waterfront resort full of people, music, and family. That's what makes it more terrifying. Evil didn't hide. It walked in wearing a suit, smiled for the wedding photos, and waited for the crowd to go home. Room 231 became a chilling reminder that violence doesn't always scream. Sometimes it waits in quiet rooms, behind familiar faces, at celebrations. This wasn't just a crime. It was a warning. To listen when someone says, "I feel unsafe," to understand that saying no is never a reason for violence, and to recognize that even the people closest to us can sometimes be the most dangerous. Alisha and Ava are gone, but their voices didn't die in room 231. Their voices live on through the law, through Sherry, through every viewer who hears this story and chooses to never ignore the red flags again. If Alicia's story moved you, if Ava's name hit your heart, share this video. Drop your thoughts in the comments and subscribe to The Criminal Minds, where we tell the stories that demand to be heard, because remembering the victims is how we protect the next one.